Now I just want to recognize real quick all of our elected officials. I saw him just out the door. Commissioner Nick Nesta just slipped out, I think, but we'll catch him again when he comes back in. Commissioner Diane Velazquez is right here. Orange County Commissioner Christine Moore, thank you for coming as well. And Mayor Bryan Nelson. I'm going to have Mayor Nelson come on up and give his message real quick.
Well, thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I hope you had a good time to learn a lot about Apopka. Maybe you didn't know. We are a growing city. I think, according to Jim Hitt, we've got over 7,000 units, somewhere between planning and rooftops, up to 10,000. So Apopka's the place to be if you're looking for new construction. Also, we've got probably close to 10 million square feet of industrial that's somewhere in that planning stage as well. We've got did you see at the airport, about 3 million square feet going in there? So a couple of things that we're obviously, Apopka back in the 70s and 80s, we were thought of as a bedroom community. You lived in Apopka, but you went to work in Orlando for the white collar jobs, and the jobs were created in Orlando. What we're trying to do is bring those jobs back to Apopka. So we've got a real focus on how we generate, jobs here in Apopka. So this industrial will give us the potential to bring those jobs back to Apopka so that you can live, work, and play right here in Apopka. So we've got a couple of incentives. I don't know if we talked about CRA. So the CRA, there's a lot of incentives there for residential and commercial construction within the CRA, which is our old downtown Apopka. So if you're looking for some dollars, impact fee credits, some air conditioning credits, so for commercial and residential, we've got some really good programs going on there. For some of the bigger industrials, what we're looking to do is try to help some of the big industrial users of electricity. We've got a cap on our electrical charge. Places around Central Florida that has an incentive for that energy consumption. So we're trying to help bring those businesses here to Apopka, but also we'll say we've got a great building department, easy to work with, not only the building department, but which includes community development as well as our building department. So easy to work with. We want to bring you to town. We want you to live, work, and play right here in Apopka. Hope you got to see our Northwest Complex. Got a big concert on Saturday at the amphitheater. We've got probably close to 7,000 people coming to see Dirty Heads, which I don't know who they are, but obviously they're a big deal. So Apopka is a great place to live, work, and play. We've just we've got a great community. We want you to be a part of it, and hope that we're here to help you in any way we can. We've got Jim Hitt here. We've got a great community development department that we're more than willing to work with you where we can. And we just appreciate you coming out and seeing what Apopka has to offer. So thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it. Okay, yeah, we've got, matter of fact, the reason I've got to leave here in about 5 minutes, we're going to, on August the 6th, I don't know if you heard, we had a firefighter that was seriously injured a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to do a benefit at the amphitheater on August 6th. And we got Tremonte, who was the lead guitarist for Creed. Creed's the band that did the Rocky song, the theme song for Rocky, the initial Rocky movie. So anyway, he does they say he does a better Frank Sinatra than Frank Sinatra. So we're going to have a great day of trying to raise money for there's two families. The family of the firefighter who was injured. We also have another family, a wife of one of our firefighters who, during childbirth, had a stroke and is really, struggling to get back. And so we want to help that family as well. So it's a great benefit. Probably going to be somewhere 4 to 10 on Saturday, August the 6th. We'd love to have you come out there and support our firefighters and the two families that have been impacted. So with that, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, Mayor Nelson. I'm going to move us right along. So thank you again to all of our sponsors, and also thank you to our partners, the Greater Orlando Builders Association, thank you, and the Orlando Regional Realtors Association, and Commissioner Christine Moore, and Orange County Commissioner Christine Moore. We appreciate your partnership. And now we are going to go ahead and introduce our moderator from Florida National News. She deserves much more than what I'm going to give her right now. We're just going to say her name. In the interest of time, for all of your guys' time, Melissa Thomas will introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Kate. Good afternoon, everybody. I know, like, all of us are like half sleepy after that bus ride. That bus ride was mad smooth.
You were not on the party bus.
Well, we were, but it's okay. But bus one was pretty live. So very briefly, in the interest of time, I'd love to introduce all of our panelists. Again, thank you so much to Mayor Nelson, of course, the Orlando Regional Realtors Association, the Greater Orlando Builders Association, and of course, our colleagues here at Florida National News and Orange County Commissioner Christine Moore. So right now, without further ado, I'm going to welcome Mr. Cliff Long, who is the President and CEO of the Orlando Realtors Association. By the way, if you guys are sleepy, he will wake you up. Like, this dude is full of energy. He's awesome. He's awesome. Our next panelist is Chassity Vega, who is the CEO and President of the Greater Orlando Builders Association. Please give her a round of applause. And Orange County Commissioner Christine Moore. Please put your hands together for her as well. So, the purpose of this panel discussion is for each panelist to share a brief explanation of what's going on in their respective industry or area of expertise, and then of course we'll open it up for questions to the audience if there's enough time, because of course we were partying on the buses, so we ran a little late. But our first question will actually be for Mr. Long once they finish their quick conversation. So, Mr. Long, if you would, please I'll open it up with you. What is the biggest issue for Apopka that we haven't thought of, that you believe that we haven't thought of? What's the biggest issue for Apopka that you're aware of?
Okay. Can everyone hear me okay? So, Apopka remains one of the more popular communities in Central Florida, but I stress the word Central Florida. You've probably heard the statistics, and that is that prior to the pandemic, about 1,400 people per week were moving into Central Florida. And I stress Central Florida. That does not mean 1,400 people were moving into Orlando, or 1,400 people. That means they're moving into all of Central Florida. So that post-pandemic now, that means Apopka is one of the more popular communities in Central Florida. And you can tell by your home sales and from your stats. The biggest problem is when I sat on this stage about several years ago, we talked about some of the exact same things. Your average commute time to work was less than 30 minutes. Because of the influx of people and the number of cars on the road now in Central Florida, for one of the first times ever, the commute time from Apopka into the Orlando community is over 30 minutes. Now we know it drives real estate: location, location, location. People like to live and work within 15 to 20 minutes of their home and their job. So just to get to downtown Orlando now from Apopka, you're talking about a minimum 30-minute commute. And just to get to your job in Central Florida now, you're talking about a 36-minute commute. Well, people moved here because they didn't want to go to Atlanta. They didn't want to go to Miami. So, and astonishing, somewhere around 92% of all the cars on the road in Apopka right now are single people, just one person in the car. No carpooling, no public transportation, just one person in a car transporting themselves from place to place. So if this trend keeps up, you're going to be looking at, within the next year to 2 years, 45 minutes to an hour just to get anywhere from Apopka. That affects quality of life. That affects your cost because we live in a toll road community. And that affects your ability to market and sell homes in Central Florida as well. Because if you start to actually present to people the actual real cost of purchasing that home, then it's not going to look as good as it does on paper. So what we've got to do is make sure that Apopka is part of a larger comprehensive plan for transportation, and that we work within our local community to alleviate some of the traffic concerns.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I mean, did anybody, just by show of hands, did anybody, was that a eye-opening trip that we just got with the bus tour, just by show of hands? There's an amazing amount of development going on here in Apopka.
Absolutely.
Chassity, this next question is for you. With current disruptions in the supply chain, what do you feel is the impact to current and future builds? Kind of give your thoughts on that.
Hello? Can you hear me? All right. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. I know there's a lot of interest in real estate and housing and what we're seeing, obviously, with the influx of people migrating to this incredible state that we live in, and to your city in particular, Apopka, which is growing. And if you think it's growing today, you have no idea what's about to come down the pipeline. So be prepared and be well educated with Apopka. You'll benefit a lot from it. So supply chain disruptions, it's a little bit of twofold right now. So what we know is that
Do you have XLR by chance?
is still here. And that kind of shut down the manufacturing, and it's delayed a lot of products. The trucking industry lost a lot of truckers. Labor. If you fix labor, you fix the supply chain disruption. However, in 10 years from now, may not be me, but the other CEO of GOBA will be on the same stage and still expressing the labor issues. It is not a quick fix. We live in an incredible Central Florida area, which is dominated obviously by tourism, hospitality. Now what we know is technology and Medical City over in Lake Nona. And so with all of that coming in, and it's all incredible for the economics of Central Florida, but we're not going into construction. So, we are still significantly delayed on a lot of supplies. Is it getting better? Some things. We call it the game of whack-a-mole, because something may get better and the next it's not, and then it's some other product, and you have to be creative and try to figure out the next move, who can get the supply quicker for you. And we anticipate that we're going to continue into this. If we stop pulling the permit today, we're building to the end of the year and into the beginning part of 2020. We need more housing, we need more supplies in order to build quicker. Those supply chain disruptions are really causing significant delays in our build times. And the land is out there, the land is available. Apopka has a tremendous amount of raw land that will be coming available in the near future. And until we fix that supply chain issue, we're not going to be able to build enough. And I know that some people fear that, but don't fear it. We'll be fine. But that's where we are with the supply chain. Is it getting better? Some days, yes. And probably when I get back to the office, I'll get another phone call, and the answer is no. So I have no crystal ball kind of mentality here, but we are working through. We are trying. I think the beautiful part about Florida, where we are affected a little bit more, is that we build year-round. So the winter time from up north gives us a little bit of break. Some of the supply then, travels its way down to Florida. But then now it's summertime, and those building in the northern states are kicking and right back up. So it's not a Central Florida problem. It's a national problem, I'm sure you're aware of. And so hopefully one day I can sit here and say it's fixed. But if it's a labor issue, then obviously we have a long way to go, and hopefully we can tighten that up within the next couple years is my guess. But demand is here, and we are building as quick as we can.
Thank you for that, Chassity. Appreciate that. All right, so this next question, we're going to bounce back to Mr. Long. Kind of give us your thoughts. How are the state of mortgages and rate increases affecting the real estate industry right now?
The state of mortgages and rate increases?
Yep.
Well, I'm talking to a room full of realtors.
Yep.
And we're in a position now where most of you, if you're seasoned, you're learning and talking to your sellers about decreasing that sales price. A lot of people are trying to maintain the rate and the sales price that they were advertising 2-3 weeks ago, but with the Fed having raised the interest rate, it has slowed down demand. And with the demand having slowed down, so too now does the sales price on that property need to be adjusted. So this is a good thing because although we're not happy about the interest rate, as the prices come down, you're able to find more homes, and we're looking, and now the inventory is going up again. So we've had a slight tick in inventory going up. This is good for realtors as a whole. It's good for you and your career. Why? Let's take a look at a snapshot 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I had a bleak outlook for a lot of our members. 6 months ago, we were in a situation to where we had 20,000 members and only 3,500 listings. Do the math. What happens when you have 20,000 members and 3,500 listings? A lot of people will be out of the business next year because there's no meat on the bone. There's nothing for you to sell. But the Fed raising the interest rate actually created a positive impact on the ability to create more listings and more homes. And so we are seeing a positive impact in Central Florida on our members. As sales home prices decrease and the listings go up, it's going to do well for the Central Florida realtors.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Commissioner Moore, we'd love to go to you. What are you hearing from your constituents so far, especially as it relates to what we've heard from Cliff and Chassity? Let's talk about what you've been hearing from your constituents.
I guess they're asking me to bat cleanup.
No, not necessarily.
I love it.
I think I have to always first start because we had Mayor Nelson here a minute ago, and it can always be complicated when I hear from people. Sometimes I hear confusion of how does it work when you live in a city, but you also have county leaders. And so our budget is, the county budget is $5.9 billion. That's what I've been doing all week. And so when you pay your taxes, mosquito control, that would be one that would really impact realtors. People don't realize that's handled by the county, animal control, and those sorts of things, and a lot of the roads when we were talking about transportation. I absolutely hear the challenges of getting around, what Cliff was mentioning, trying to get downtown. We hear about safety. Thankfully, there's a group that puts out a Dangerous by Design report, and for about the last 5 years, we were the #1 worst area in the entire country for safety for pedestrians. We had the highest number of fatalities, and the report came out this week, and we dropped to 5th. It's still not good, but at least some things are happening. And so you're seeing your municipalities, your county, really embarking on speed studies, corridor studies, trying to make the roads safer. And I will tell you, when those get done and they determine through federal standards that a road speed has to go down 5 or 10 miles an hour, I'm not always the most popular person in the room. I did not realize how much people like to speed. But nevertheless, you're seeing a lot of attention because it's a three-legged stool. You have to have enforcement. We work with Sheriff Mina's office on enforcement. There's the engineering concerns of how roads are designed. And, of course, there's the everyday citizen or a person who's driving that car who is on their cell phone too much. And most of your accidents will take place at intersections. And to Cliff's point about dealing with this in your commute times, Mayor Demings really went out on a limb and put on the ballot in November a penny tax for transportation. And so there's an opportunity. 45% of that was going to mass transit, to actual additional bus routes, bus rapid transit. And we have in the plan the Orange Blossom Express that would give us a Sunrail route all the way from College Park through Lockhart to Apopka out to Zellwood. And that's a really good thing because we've seen with the work of Universal, Mayor Dyer, Mayor Demings, and a lot of collaboration in the tourism industry, federal dollars were allocated to get us a route, Sunrail route, from the convention center to the airport. So we know that one will run in the black. Ours up here probably will not, but see, then that can subsidize as we go and grow. Here, and I see Jim shaking his head because Jim would like that so you can develop your Station Street district, right? I'd like it to work on Lockhart. So absolutely, your commute times, transportation, quality of life issues will be on the ballot in November.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Appreciate it. Unfortunately, we won't be able to open up to the audience for questions because we want to make sure to respect you guys' time, but I will ask Chassity one final question. You touched on it a little bit in your first answer, but what do you, as it relates to everything that we've shared, what are you hearing this is doing to new construction in terms of the average prices per square feet, things like that? Kind of talk about that.
So this event actually gave me an opportunity to dive into some data, and nobody knows this, but I'm kind of a data geek. I love looking at numbers, and it's very telling. And when I looked at the numbers for Apopka, I was, whoa. I mean, even even knowing the development and what's going on out there, it was shocking. So quickly, I will tell you this. 2018, I'm going to take you back to decent year, right? There were 40 single-family new home starts, 40 in Apopka. 2022, 893.
Wow.
Now you know when I was looking at this, I'm like, oh my gosh. So quick stat right here for you. First quarter of 2021, okay? 2021, we're still building, we're good, supply chain, but we're still out there trying to keep up. Your average home right now in Apopka still remains 2,500 square feet, single family, okay, not townhome, single family, 2,500, it's about the average right now in Apopka. That was going for $377, okay, roughly around $377. A year later, you're looking at $459. That's your average 2,500 square foot home in Apopka. Obviously, supply, demand. Please don't throw daggers at me. I wish I could tell you it's all profit. It's not all profit. It's very slim profit margins for builders. Do not listen to anything else. Very, very slim. Our industry is stressed. Weekly price increases on supplies is driving this. Supply and demand. This is no different than things that you're seeing around the entire nation right now. And I will tell you this, right now in your first quarter 2022, Apopka really has about 500 starts under construction, new homes under construction. We anticipate that number for second quarter, which is about to be released at the end of the month, to jump up an additional 600. So that's already increasing. Future, you're looking at future numbers. For the future, you have roughly 5,200 new units coming on. Again, raw land, new units. The demand is coming. You all are growing significantly. Infrastructure, roads, schools, very important. We all know that, very important. Need to keep up, as well as home building. As we need to do a better job of trying to build quicker. We know it. We're trying desperately. But if it tells you anything about that land, it is available. And Apopka is entirely appealing. Okay? A lot of the build right now is a little bit on the outskirts. Lake County is booming, doing double the amount of construction than Orange County. And so, but if you look at transportation, at those drive times, Apopka still is a much better fit if you're generally working in the Central Florida market. So, Polk County, it's appealing, cheaper land, cheaper homes, those type of things, but Apopka is exactly where it needs to be, and I anticipate that that's going to be just booming for years to come.
Thank you, Chassity. So I'm going to ask our wonderful guests up here. Do you guys have time for one more question? Awesome. So I would love to run this by all three of you. I'll start with you, Cliff. Given everything that you guys have discussed thus far, what are your thoughts on what we saw today out there, the amount of development that we're seeing in Apopka, and kind of cross-referencing that with the housing situation that we're seeing across the state of Florida, not just Central Florida, but kind of an overall, what we've been hearing as a housing crisis in the state. Kind of give your thoughts on that.
Well, from what you looked at, it's not going to help anything. Just being blunt. Because the homes that you're looking at, the average home in Apopka is $330,000 and up in terms of what's actually selling. Our biggest problem is affordable housing. And affordable and workforce housing, that's not what you looked at today. And the state of Florida is in an affordable housing crisis right now, whereby we've got to build. The problem is every community in Central Florida has to pull together and do their fair share. There can't be any NIMBYs. There can't be any people that say not in my backyard, because there's no one community that's the affordable housing community. So it's got to be Oviedo, it's got to be Apopka, it's got to be Winter Garden, it's got to be Winter Springs, it's got to be everyone coming together and doing their part. So we already have one crisis, and the commission and I, we talk about this quite often. Now we've got another issue where we start talking about rent control. Well, rent control is a threat to the affordable housing issue, and people don't realize that, and it's a battle that we're in downtown now. If you are a realtor, you need to be letting your commissioner know that you support her. You need to be letting the other commissioners know what happens. Because when something like rent control happens, what happens is this. It may be on the ballot to be voted for, but it won't go into effect until, November or next year, or when it does go into effect. Every landlord that has just been told that they can't raise their rent, what are they going to do between now and the time that it goes into effect? They're going to raise their rent. And once they raise the rent, then it's really not going to be affordable. And then for people who, the trickle-down effect of that is going to be those apartments, those people like that, when they can no longer raise their rent, they're going to sell. And now you got somebody else that's going to come in and bring in rent that's already absorbently high because they have no other opportunity to recoup those dollars in the future. Are y'all following me here? And so now we have a problem that gets exacerbated because of bad legislation. Now, Commissioner Moore, to be clear, is not the person putting this forward. She has the full support of her Association of Realtors. She has the full support of her Association of Realtors. She has the full support of her Association of Realtors. But we are battling other people who do think that this is a good idea because they do represent people in different districts, but we've all got to learn how to work together. So what's going on now is work with Mayor Nelson, work with Commissioner, work with other people to understand that we're all in this together. Every community, and when we work on affordable housing, that means Apopka, that means Oviedo, that means all of us together. Once we do that, then we create an environment that is conducive to do business in again. Because see, it doesn't matter if your Chamber of Commerce does their job and they go out and recruit a company that brings 400 people, 400 jobs into Apopka, where are they going to live? So if she does an outstanding job recruiting companies, if OEP does a job bringing in Amazon, what good is 24,000 jobs if 24,000 people don't have a place to live? So affordability is the biggest factor. We at the association want you getting those big commissions. We want you to sell the homes that are 330, 340, 350, but we don't want you to lose sight of the fact that we're all in this together. And for every person that lives in a $400,000 home, somebody needs a $200,000 home that they can call their starter home and their first home. So be cognizant of that we're all in this community together, and remember that we're staunchly behind our commissioner. Okay? And that's all I'll say.
Thank you.
Wow.
Tough act to follow.
I knew it was in there. All right, so I don't even know how to follow that, quite frankly. I'm like, mic drop, are we done? No, but listen, I'm home building, right? And so what we know is supply and demand. I'll say it again. We need more supply. We need more supply. We need to remove the red tape so that that way it would allow us to continue to build without issues, without delays, without causes to get tied up in regulation in the county, not with Christine over here, but at the county. We need to. What people don't realize, and when things get held up, is Florida has one of the best building codes out there. It is one of the most sustainable. It is the best building code out there. We are building safe homes. Hurricanes prove it. They prove it. And so with that, we need to continue to build, remove that red tape, allow us to build, get the supply going in. And yes, it is a wonderful thing to hear technology companies moving to Central Florida. It's wonderful to hear the medical, what's happening coming in. But again, I scream it along with Cliff. Where are they going to live? What we know is that if you're a first-time home buyer or a move-up, man, my heart goes out to you because there's nowhere for you to go. You are locked out. And, so we need to, fix that. Supply will fix that. I know many people who call me and they're like, how do I get a new home? We need to watch the investors coming in carefully, scooping up all the homes. And, so that's another thing that we're eyeing as well. But I can't stress the amount of supply that we need, and we need to remove the red tape. We need to allow the build times to get better and to just thrive as Central Florida should be.
Commissioner?
It sounded like they'd all sign up to help me on my campaign, but they're being kind because we've been having rent control discussions at
Yeah.
the county. And I felt like I was up there all by myself trying to explain just simple principles of economics. And so right now I think it's going to pass. So if you have any ability to get down to that meeting and write the rest of the commissioners, it's not going in a positive direction. And it's sad to me that we would go after the ones who are providing the housing when, we're having, the county, I'm sure you are at the city as well, having issues with employment and having vacancies, and our permitting is slow, and our ability to get projects across the finish line. I will tell you, I've approved 4, 5, 6 maybe affordable projects. I am a firm believer they should be distributed through the whole county. I sat on the school board for 10 years. You cannot put any type of housing, have it be too similar in one area. I don't find it's healthy for children to live in a super affluent area and never meet children who may come from families that struggle. And then we shouldn't put all the families that are struggling in one area either. So yes, we have to tackle that NIMBY issue. But it was Tuesday. So what's today's Thursday? 2 days ago, approved one on Plymouth Serena Row for 500. It's 300 regular affordable housing and 200 senior. And so it's still a very lengthy process. It's a year and a half. They're saying before they'll take applications, they're looking at for 1 bedroom, 4 stories. It's quite a decline in elevation to Lake Standish, so it won't look like 4 stories. So we have some compatibility with the area. But the units are about, for a single bedroom, they're telling me about $850 a month. So that's great. So we know in a year and a half, but it's still a year and a half. I will tell you that the county, we struggle with getting new housing divisions and neighborhoods that are affordable, not necessarily this low end that are subsidized, but just not in that $350,000 or $400,000 range. So I have to ask you all maybe how you can help us. That's a private sector issue. Maybe we need more incentives. I don't know, but we're just not getting enough of that stock. But we did, in Orange County, change the code. So I'll give you some more terminology. ADU, accessory dwelling unit. And we're making it much easier. Krista you have a big lot you want to build a room on for your mom. We're making to make that a lot easier. We are trying to, I'm seeing it in South Apopka where we're seeing more duplexes, triplexes. We're working on the Vision 2050 to allow more homes in maybe where previously rural areas that now could be R1, R2, where we could have some duplexes and triplexes, because that lower range house is we're just not seeing enough of that stock being built. So if anybody tells you this is simple, if they tell you there's a single answer, just blame the landlords. It's not true. And I just would encourage you that we all have to work on this together because it's so multifaceted. And so I'm glad you're here educating yourself, and whatever you can do to help me not see that we have rent control on that ballot in November, I would appreciate. Write my fellow commissioners and the mayor of Orange County and tell them how you feel. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Moore. And, for folks, if you want to get a hold of her or any of the other commissioners, just go to ocfl.net. That's the main Orange County government website. And, of course, Chassity, kind of let folks know where they can contact you, where they can find out more about GOBA.
Yeah, absolutely. GOBA is located, the headquarters is in Maitland, Florida, not too far away. I travel 36 minutes to work, Cliff, just so you know. I'm a mom of 2. I listen to my music and I'm like, whoo, peace. So I don't mind it, but it's not for everyone. I understand. But you can locate us at greaterorlandoba.com. We're the second largest association in the state of Florida under the National Association of Home Builders. We do a lot of political campaign and contributions and very much support Commissioner Moore in our efforts. And we do a whole lot of behind-the-scenes government regulations, looking at legislation, and trying to again remove that red tape so that way we can thrive all together. Whenever construction is good, your local economic is good. Keep that in mind. We need to build your economy, your local economy. We'll appreciate that and we'll support that. So again, if anybody is interested, I always give out my cell phone. You're willing to take it if you ever need to text me or call me. I had a school board member this week call me at 9:20. I don't encourage that. But if you need to, it's 407-462-5026. So I'm an open door. I'm kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve, and so feel free. I love talking to people. I'm not like a hidden CEO. I like to be out there and kind of help everybody, guide everybody into our industry issues and how we can all work together. So thank you.
She just made a big mistake. These
know
are
what I mean?
realtors. They will call.
They will call.
I
They're
know.
trained to call.
I know. I don't always have the answer, and I don't always get back, but I try.
All right, let us know how we can get more involved with ORRA.
So if you'd like to become more involved, all you have to do is go to the website, orlandorealtors.org.com, and participate. Listen, in just a few short months, we're getting ready to start preparing for literally 2023. And as we go into that cycle, we need you to participate. It will be time for us to go through the committee process. It will be time for us to start selecting leadership for tomorrow. And when I say leadership, that means you. I may have the blessing of being able to call myself CEO, but I'm just the chief servant. I work for realtors. I answer to realtors. It's the Association of Realtors by Realtors for Realtors. So your leadership needs to hear from you. This year's president, Tansy Soderstrom, is doing an awesome job. Next year's president is going to be Lisa Hill. And so reach out to Lisa and say, Lisa, I'd like to serve on a committee. I'd like to be a part of the leadership. Guys, we're getting invitations to do things that we've never had before. I just got an invitation on Tuesday. They want us to take a delegation to Colombia. And next month, they want us to take a delegation to Peru. And we've been invited by Serbia to come speak and keynote at their real estate convention. Florida realtors are in hot demand. Listen, the world has woke up and they want you. As you guys know, earlier this year, we took a delegation to Dubai. And this is our second or third time going there. Well, you say, Cliff, why do they want you to go to Dubai? It's not me they want, it's you. They want our realtors. You know, in 2019, Central Florida, Orlando was the most visited city on earth with 74 million people that came to Central Florida. The most visited international city on earth was Dubai. So they said, what if we can make our community like that community? And they literally started recruiting our sales force to come over there and sell their properties. But it's not just there. All over the world, they want Florida realtors to come sell property in other countries because of how well you do it. You're seen as one of the best sales forces in America. So that having been said, before you say, Cliff, how can I get plugged in? I can tell you right now, get on a committee and start serving, making sure that you're getting the emails that you're supposed to, and you too will be on the next jet with me to the other side of the world, showcasing Apopka to people. That's right, showcasing Apopka to people all over the world. So that being said, thank you to the Chamber for this opportunity. This is truly a blessing. And you guys are a blessing. Everywhere you go, you make every community better. Okay? So that being said, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank all of you. And with that rousing speech, give yourselves a round of applause since you guys are in such hot demand. So I'm going to wrap it up and turn it back over to Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Florida National News. Thank you to all of our speakers and for your expertise and sharing and waiting for us today as we toured the city. I want to just make a special thank you to Jim Hitt. He was our tour establisher, I guess. We didn't account for how much time it would take to turn a bus, but so it takes a lot in all these little areas, but I couldn't have done it without you, so thank you very much. He knows the community. He is community development. Also to our developers who also aided, especially on the cool bus 2, Tony Benj with Benj Development also was fantastic in showing us where the Floridian Town Center is going, what's going on in Kelly Park, and his developments as well. And I don't know if Taurus, is Craig still here or his son? They must have cut out. But they also were a great support to show other areas that they're developing in, and not just Hilton Garden Inn and City Center. So again, I want to just announce and mention that those partnerships are critical to our development. Their relationships are what bring people and businesses and investment to the community. Although the chamber would love to take the credit, that isn't how it works. And unfortunately, the city doesn't either. It doesn't matter if it's an economic development coordinator or developer. It really makes sense more if it's based on the developer who has the relationship. They do it their whole life in multiple places. So if you have any kind of mystery about that, I am going to kind of piggyback also off of the affordable housing and the idea of rent. I came from Habitat for Humanity, and putting caps on rentals is not good for anyone. It is not good because if you have rent control, only the people in the home now are served. And so if the underserved are trying to have an opportunity to get into homes and they're not already in, they can't get in because nobody's getting out. So that is a point that I think is frequently missed. It is a bad thing for economy. It's also a bad thing for those who need it the most. And those are those people who are under poverty or paying more than 30% of their salary to rent or mortgage. So if you need to know more information, please vote. Please make sure that your voice is heard. Please, like they have directed, learn a little bit more so that you understand and we don't get ourselves in a bigger mess based on those policies and the misunderstanding. Unfortunately, that can happen, and it'll be entirely hard to unravel that. So, anybody else? Did I do pretty good with that? Okay, all right. Okay, so anyway, again, I want to thank all of you. We have our vendors and sponsors will be here until 3, as long as you are here, to meet each other. I want to just kind of have you guys, go back if you're an exhibitor, make sure that you're here to be able to get materials from everyone. They've all committed to, hopefully you bonded on the bus as well, but if you need to catch, people from the alternate bus that you were on, I think that's key. All of my board members, I would like to ask my board members and my sponsors to please come to the stage to take some photos with our guests, and everybody have a great day. Thank you. Raffle. We have a raffle? Oh yeah, Trustco has a raffle for us. Okay, so how are we raffling? Okay, she'll go around with a cup and get business cards and do the raffle. Also, the museum is going to be open right here. If you have not seen